Alright, the book of Genesis, chapters 1, 2, and 3. In the beginning of the 432 billion years ago, the universe was created with God created with the design, including with the sun, was our sun and our planet, Earth. And during one of the many of the cataclysm occurred with the during of the Earth's history, with this one being 11,500 years ago, the Earth land was inundated with raging water, ravaged with the horrendous wind of the ocean, with the where all of the dark mightiness, with the ill wind thrown over the untroubled waters also. And the storms abated, the sunlight came from the face of the earth that God intended. For as well with the catalysm abating once more with the darkness, sunlight with the reestablished, distinguishing, and it was good. And the sunlight was again daytime with the darkness, even the nighttime, according to the God design, and even the morning made one day. And again, God's original design was thereby with the sky between the cloud with the ocean, and according to the God design, with the heavens reestablished for the in the sky, with again the ship between the cloud with the ocean, and onslaught with the grave of the catalysm abated. God's heaven was indeed reestablished for the evening and the morning, beginning with the second day. The God's design was the lands that would not be entirely covered with the ocean, but would immediately follow catalysm and the disrupted oceans, now settling, draining of the higher lands. And according to the God's design, dry land was earth, and in waters of the ocean, and they once again with the reestablished good and with the gods intended. As soon as God's design was the earth, which had being for the grass and herb yielding their seed, and the fruit yielding the fruit containing the seed, but the earth was again reestablished. Therefore the earth being reestablished brought forth the grass and the herbs yielding the seed, but the fruit with the true yielding fruit containing its seed was good for the God intended. And evening and morning was the start of the third day, and according to the God design was normally lights for the heavens, but they served that indicate the months and the seasons, days and years. Also they served to furnish the light of the earth, but God intended. As the great fog lifted, the clouds broke with the sound of the moon, and reappeared with also the stars once again with the God intended that shone from the heaven. And the sun and the moon again were able to divide light and darkness, which was good. Evening and the morning was started with the fourth day. It was God's will, some of the shore, that every creature living, the bird flying, should survive with the cataclysmic indignation. Surviving there were the great whales and every living creature of the sea, every kind of winged fowl, as it was God intended good. 22. They would have blessed the God's original design and the fruitful, the reproduce, the replenish the ocean, sea life, the air, with the fowl, the evening and the morning were started with the fifth day, but that which of the God was some of every creature of the cradle, cattle, creeping thing, the beast of the earth, that should survive with the cataclysmic indignation. Surviving where the beast and the cattle, everything that creeps up on the earth, it was good for the God intended and good. And according to the God designed, man who was the creator of the image of the God intended, also to survive, have the dominion over the fowl of the earth, over the cattle, over the earth, and then once over the creeping of the creeps over the earth. So it was God's design of the man was created with the image of the God's intended, both male and female, survive in cataclysmic foundation, indignation. If they were blessed with the God's original design, with the fruitful, multiply with the replenish of the earth, the control that have a dominion over the fish, and the sea, over the fowl in the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God's design was that man being every herb bearing seed, which one upon the face of all of the earth, every tree of the which with the fruit of the tree yielding seed, with the fruit that should be for food. To every beast of the earth, every fowl of the air with everything that creeps on the earth, whether in this life of the God design with the grain herbs they should have served the food with the God was intended. Everything which survived was good and had originally created, and so with God's design was good. The evening and the morning were the beginning of the sixth day. 2. Thus the heavens of the earth reestablished the host of them, and the seventh day with the recovery with the catalysm and flood with the complete. Seventh day brought with the rest of the fight with the survival against the catalysm and the after effect, and the seventh day brought with the God blessed peace. The catalysm had been abated, leaving those creation who survived. These were the same regeneration of the heaven and the earth were reestablished after the catalysm, previous to the one of the history of when the Lord God reestablished the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before the cataclysm was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, before the Lord God had brought the rain upon the earth to rain for in this region. There was not a man till the ground. But there was a catalysm, the great indignation rose over the earth again. It was God's will that the man should rise from the earth and keep the breath of life that remain living soul. This is the story. It was God's will of the catalysm that they can eastward of themselves there eat and live in this man of the history. And from the land the groove of the other civilization of the land's motherland midst of the being of the seed of the wisdom and all of the knowledge both of God and evil, indignation that destroyed Eden and left the only 4 offspring lands. Know therefore verses of the probably are incorrect and incomplete with the true description looked over the correct translation of the Egypt book of the dead, missing portion of the Peri Razi map, the first land of the Neo of the Pizine Pison, which included the whole land of Havilah, where there was the gold, and the gold of the land is good, but the Bellion and the ox is stone. Second land was near the river Gahan, the same land includes the whole land of Ethiopia. Third land near the Hiddekel, the land toward the east of the Assyria, and the fourth the land near the river of the Euphrates. And God's providence, the man was of Eden, where they lived and toiled. It was descendant of the original mankind settled over the motherland. God's design was that the man was warned all over the motherland was source of all the knowledge, good and evil, and that it have still there, surely he would die. And it was God's design that man should not be alone, and therefore a mate should be his. Since God originally created every beast of the field, the fowl of the air, and this time Adam had named each one. And Adam gave the name of the cattle, of the fowl of the earth, every beast of the field, but Adam there was no mate. Adam's mate had died after giving birth to the child of Adam. And the child of the man was a female made in the image of God intended. Adam said, "The child is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh," and she grew into womanhood. Therefore, man was both father and a mother to her, and she abode with him, and there was one flesh, and when the climate was warm, requiring little or no clothing. And all the time, beginning with the story of the oceans were in the normal state of the quietness, and was known with the woman of the story. She was not descendant from any of the people of the land, sprang from the mother of the continent. God's design was that woman would learn to people over the offspring would live on. People would motherland, and God's design was that the woman would learn the people of the offspring of the land would live on. The people of the motherland from which she would descend would surely all die. When she knew with the spire of the impending end of the nation, she surely would not die. For God's design from the day she was born, she would descend from the original mankind of the motherland, destined to know all of the discern both good and evil. And the woman, being with the motherland, being wise and good, knew that both she and her father were descending with the original mankind of the motherland, and they were both were wise and lived a good life. And was time of the year, some of the clothing needed for the warmth and the cooling of these days. They were of the wondering of this offspring that they should go in presence of the field strong with them. Adam felt God's call, and said that I have heard of the God warning since of the sum of the fear, but knew not the finding of the refuge. God warning had called him into the sum of the warning and to leave the land of the ancestry. And the man with the woman who is my daughter, descending my ancestor, gave his knowledge. And he asked, "What giveth the knowledge of the God giveth you with the wood?" And said, "I am your ancestor, of the inherit of the wisdom, the coming of the nation of the ocean have been made known to me." God's design was that ocean would sow with the indignate, that drown down the cattle of all beef of the field, and bury all dust. God was to give them with the victory of over the ocean, the seed of the future generations. You and me of the oceans will drown all others. God's design was, although the indignation was greatly multiply her sorrow of the wood, even bring forth children, as her love would be for her husband and as for her. And unto Adam it was good, and will he heed the worlds of the God's warning with the descendant of the original mankind of the man of the land. They should leave the destiny of the nature of the berserk. If they stayed, surely they would regret it. And if the Adam was to go with the land, would be difficult to farm and thorns, the thistle, the bounding, and even served for the field to be their food. By his own trouble, the sweet, with the destined for the fight, with the survival after indignation, even at the end of this day, when he would return with the mother earth, as if with the earth of man came from, and unto the earth he shall return. And for the indignation, Adam therefore made with the woman his wife, and called her Eve, that she was to be the mother of all living from the motherland. And again, after the indignation, after there was a colder climate, it was God's design as part of their survival that they make with them coats and skin with the clothed. And it was good design. It was God's design that Adam should take with him the knowledge of the good and evil from the motherland, as put forth and left it in order to live. Therefore, in accordance with God's will, that is left of the garden, even to survive alive and survive and live in the soul of where he was to go. So a man left the garden of Eden was subject to the cataclysm of the earthquake and the earth fire of the motherland that lost its foundation, sank beneath the oceans. Cataclysm revisited.